So in this video, we're going to talk about Google Gemini CLI. CLI stands for Command Line Interface. So essentially is a way in which we can leverage Google large language models to build and write code. This actually reminds you of maybe something else that has been around. Yes, right, Claude Code. So this is essentially a version of Claude Code, which Anthropic has put together a few months ago, and they've iterated through, and they have a lot of cool stuff that they have come up with. So Google now has their own. In this video, we're going to go through what this is and how to use it. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing, if you go to Google, say Google Gemini CLI, of course, you're going to see news of this new tool and videos and all this stuff, which is wonderful. But let's go ahead to this source. I'm going to start with the Gemini CLI open source. It says here, for developers, the command line interface isn't just a tool, it's home. Most developers like command line because it's easy to interact with the underlying operating system and all of that. Terminal efficiency, ubiquity, and portability. Okay, that's why we're introducing Gemini CLI, an open source AI agent that brings the power of Gemini directly into your terminal. The cool thing here, it says it allows for 60 model requests per minute and 1K model requests per day. So the idea here is they say it's free, which is always nice. Powerful models in your command line. Now in preview, Gemini CLI provides powerful AI capabilities from code understanding and file manipulation to command execution and dynamic troubleshooting. Ground prompts with Google search. This is real nice. That means you can actually fetch web pages and provide real-time external context to the model. In your terminal, your CLI command line interface, you're going to be able to not only interface with or leverage Google's large language models for coding and all that, but also you can fetch web pages and provide real-time context to the models. So you can imagine you coding something and you can say, I want to learn more about X, Y, and Z and include into this code base. Well, this tool supposedly can do that. Okay, you can extend Gemini CLI's capability through built-in support for the Model Context Protocol, MCP, or bundle extensions. So we're going to talk more about that in a different video. You can customize prompt instructions tailored for Gemini and all of this. Okay, so look at that. They've got a little video showing exactly what's going on. So let's go ahead and say it's easy to get started. We're going to go ahead and say start by installing Gemini CLI. We're going to double click or right click and go to GitHub. And I always like to go ahead and give it a star just to show appreciation. Okay, let's go all the way down and see what's all about. So this is a repository for our CLI, Gemini CLI, quick start. Let's start with the prerequisites. So they say here you have to have Node.js version 18 or higher installed. Let's check our version for Node. So I'm going to say node -- version. And it should show me that I have this version here. Now, if you don't know how to install Node on your computer, it's very easy. Just Google install Node and it should give you the instructions. It's not that complicated. Okay, so our next thing we need to do is to copy this CLI command here. I'm just going to copy that. And back here, let's go ahead and Control V and enter. So this is going to install all the dependencies through the command line here and go from there. So let's go and say, okay, you just hit enter to proceed installing Gemini CLI. Okay, so once you do that, you can see it gives us a few things. I like the way it looks. Ask question, edit files, or run commands, be specific for the best results, and all of that. And next we can select the theme which we want. So I think I can go ahead, the arrow up and down, I can use different themes. Yeah, maybe that is good. So I'm going to just hit enter. Now it's going to select the auth method because you still need to log in with your Google account, personal account, or you can go ahead and get Gemini API through AI Studio or through Vertex AI. So I'm just going to start with login with Google real quick here. I think that's the simplest way to go about. So hit enter and sign in. Okay, so it looks like everything is good. All right, so after authenticating everything, I created a new folder and got rid of that session, that terminal session to get started. You actually want to use this npm install-g for global. That way it can go across all your sessions, right, in your computer. Remember, I'm inside of my SaaS directory. I can go ahead and say a Next.js project with all necessary dependencies. Okay, let's see what's going to happen. So now what's happening is we should be able to see things happening. So you can see I will use npx to create the application, right? To initialize the Next.js project in the current directory. And we have all that. So this is what summoned. And then I allow execution. Now we're going to allow execution. So I can use the arrow up or down, as you can see, to either say yes, allow, or don't allow. So I'm going to say yes, allow, always npx. So I'm going to use the second one, hit enter. And now it should be starting to create all of that. So it's going to create all these pieces, and let's give it a second. And while this is working, I'm going to open a new tab here. So now I go to the SaaS directory, and I'm going to see that it created already a Git repository local here. I'm going to say ls. We can see all the things that are happening, all these pieces that are being created by Gemini CLI here. So we have essentially the application itself. Okay, so we got the app, Next.js, we have the modules, all of these things. Now, even if you don't know how to get started with Next.js, we didn't have to do anything, and we let it do all of that. So what else can I say? I can say, make sure to build a simple to-do application using what you have generated so far. This web app needs to be modern, slick, and responsive. Okay, hit enter. Let's see what's going to happen. So it's looking at all the code that we have, that it actually provisioned everything. And it's going to go through the process of doing and writing the actual code. So what I'm going to do actually, so you can see everything, I'm going to open these files that are being edited using our VS Code. So I'm going to say code, space, and dot, and this will open, in this case, our Visual Studio Code. And open, you can see this is exactly what's being created, and it looks quite nice. Let's go ahead and look at the app folder. We have the layout, and all of these pieces of code have been generated. So coming back here, you can see now that all of that happens, let's go ahead and see what really happened. And what I like about this actually is the fact that it goes through the whole process. So I see that the create next app command is asking for input. So as an agent, it goes through the process of figuring out how to get things done. And if it needs, it can go and fetch information from the internet without us having to do anything. Okay. And so it goes through the process, Google search, searching for the web, create next app non-interactive. Okay. These are commands that it needs to create a Next.js application. And all this happened, and passing in, installing dependencies. Exactly. And okay, then build everything. Okay, I'll build a modern, slick, and responsive to-do application. Here's my plan. It gives us even the plan of what needs to be done. And then it says, I'll start by replacing the content of app page tsx with a new to-do application code. And it goes through all the process. I'll replace the default Next.js starter, and that's all of that. Okay, apply these changes. So it allows us to apply the changes if you want to apply those changes. Again, you can go up and down the arrow and say allow once, and it's going to go ahead and actually commit, if you will, this piece of code. So getting all dependencies, package it all up, and hopefully it's going to give a link, a local host, where we can see the application working, hopefully. So let's see. So I love the fact that it tells us exactly how much tokens essentially we have left, and 9% context left. So we've used about 1% of all of the tokens that they allow us to use per hour or per day, and all that. And all this is free. That's very nice. That's very nice indeed. So it says slash commands provide meta level control over the CLI itself. So if I can say /bug, we can actually file an issue about Gemini CLI. Okay, this will go to this repository as an issue so that they can see something is not right. /chat, editor, help, display help information about the Gemini CLI, MCP, list configure model context protocol, which I will create a video on that. So it seems like it's taking too long for it to implement the apps. Maybe it's stuck somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and say ESC to escape and do it all over again. So I'm going to start small. Maybe I can start by asking, generate a simple to-do application. In this case, web app. Okay, let's just see. Okay, it looks like now I have already generated code for a simple modern to-do web application. Next step is to start development server. So I noticed that it's really good at asking question permission or tell us exactly what is going on. It's a little bit verbose, but I like that because it gives you the idea of what's really going on. So let's go ahead and say yes real quick here. So we're going to restart the server and let's see what will happen. Okay, just like that, you can see that we have our to-do here. Say hello and add, and it's kind of working. Hello again and add. So that's very good. And looks like it's saying restarting the server here. I actually went ahead and started here the server locally, and port 300 is in use using available port 301. So looks like actually the port that it's running right now here, that I forced running, this one is in use, but the one that is being run, oh, let's go back to 3000. So it's running both of them. So this is the one 3000. This is the one that should be here. So, okay, so it's running already is good, but I don't understand why it's restarting itself. So I'm going to say escape real quick here and see. Okay, something is not quite right. Maybe I should do it again. Say, please run the app and see what will happen. Okay, so he wants to run npm run dev. I'm going to go ahead and say enter. Okay, so it says I will start at this location here. If I copy this is exactly what I have here. I can just like refresh. Okay, looks like it's working. Say hello there, enter. Hi, enter. So it's actually saving, can delete, and looks good. Okay, so this is something I'm noticing is that, okay, now it's running. As you see here, I can refresh. This is the port 3000. Hello, and it's adding. However, I've noticed that I have no other way of continuing here. So I'm not sure, because this is my first time just showing you raw what's going on here, but perhaps what will happen here, I created a new tab. This is the tab that I showed you earlier where we got to code space and period to open our Visual Studio Code, VS Code. And so I open a new one here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say Command T, and we're going to open this new one here, new tab. Okay, inside the same folder, and just run this same thing on a different port. This is just something so that we can see how to use this. So the same app is running on a different port because I sort of forced and ran the npm run dev here on this application, right? On a different command line terminal. Now that we have that, I think I can actually continue working either from here, because I can come here. If this is a new one, I can just come and say Gemini, enter. So this is going to give me exactly the same thing that I have here after I have escaped. Okay, so I can use either one of those. So I can ask question because we are inside of the same path, the application. I can say, okay, the app works well. Now make sure to save the to-dos in local memory. Let's get enter and see. It's going to go ahead and plan everything. It's going to go ahead and read the page.tsx file. It's going to do the local storage, which is exactly what I asked to do. Because at this point here, if I add something, hello, hit enter and refresh, that is gone. We want to save it locally. Okay, so it's saying I will now update it to do app component to use effect hooks. The first use effect, he's going to do all of that. So a lot of code that was changed. I will start a web server, which will make the application available at this local host. Let's go all the way down to see, waiting for confirmation. Let's go ahead and look what needs to be confirmed. Just hit enter. Okay, I've updated the code, save and everything, run dev, let's say enter, or return I should say. So if I change this to 3000, you can see that the app is working and say hello there. And if I refresh, hopefully you can see that it's persisting. Now, I know this may seem very complicated, but I'm doing the same thing. It's just I was using the port 3001 because I had done this manually because I'm having issues having to pause essentially this in order for me able to see things working in the front end. And so I'm doing the same thing. Now I'm actually going to the port that is running and add, this is the most up-to-date application. So it works. hello again, something similar, and it's there. Okay, so if I refresh again, at least it's saved locally. So that is really cool. We're able to put together a very simple application here just to test Gemini CLI here. So it's very similar, of course, to Claude Code, but in this case, it's free. So I can go ahead and say something / and say help, for instance. Maybe I should say just / and then help, but let's see. All right, so it's going to go ahead and say, I'm Gemini agent designed to assist with software engineering tasks. You can ask me to fix bugs, add features, and great. Okay, so, well, while we're here, let's go ahead and add features. Okay, I'm going to say an option for dark and light modes. It's going to say I will add dark and light mode. Yes, please. Okay, so now it's going to tell me successfully read and concatenated content from 3 files, the global CSS and all of that. Review the code. I'm going to go ahead and install themes. Okay, just hit enter or return to update everything. So we're going to go ahead. Looks like, I apologize for the error. We'll use the absolute path. That's fine. File the actual code into file. I'm going to say return to say that's fine. Go ahead and do what you need to do. So I will add the dark and light mode application. First, I will export the existing code and do all the things. Again, it's real good because it's really giving us all the pieces, all of the process with which it's actually building this application. So I like that. For some people, maybe too much, but I enjoy that. Okay, so let's see what happens now. Use client. This is what was added. And then let's go ahead and finalize. Just return. It's going through the process and found a few errors. It's correcting the user interface. All of that did it all on its own. Okay, now first it's going to do that. Just hit enter. Okay, this is a good thing. It's going to do a Google search to search for sun, add moon icon SVG for React. So this is one of the SVG file that it needs and couldn't find it. And so it's going to go and do that on our behalf. We don't have to do anything. So it's doing Google search and get what it needs to go get. And we're going to say allow. Okay, so application is now running, should be running, finalizing deployment, but I find it that you can just go back here. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this mode here, which is not quite doing what it needs to do. So hydration failed. Okay, we have some issues here, but the functionality is not working. Please make sure the light and dark mode functionality actually works. Okay, so let's go ahead and, so in this case, I'm going to say allow always so that we don't have to redo everything. Okay, so it's reviewing all the pieces that we've done so far to get to the bottom of these issues. So I will remove the static background. Now we'll apply the background and foreground colors to the body and layout using tailwinds. And now I have completed that. So it tells you exactly what needs to be done. And I'm going to go ahead and change arrow down to go to yes, allow always NPM, hit enter. So this should start running everything. So it's refactoring layout component and it's starting also. So this is one thing, maybe because this is new, or I don't know yet, because I just opened up and I'm showing exactly as I go about this new tool. But maybe there's another way for this to work, because I should be able to converse with this, not having to stop and open up the actual port to show the application. But it seems to be working so far. I'm going to refresh this and looks like it's still not working. Maybe this is still working here. I'm not sure. Brute force this again. Let's go to 301. Maybe this is going to be the one that will work. So, okay, it looks like it's still not working. Hello. If I refresh, okay, it still saves, but it's not working. So I'm not sure what's going on here. When the dark light mode icon is clicked, nothing happens. Please fix this issue. So you can see here it says slow response time detected, automatically switching from Gemini 2 Pro 2.4 Pro to Gemini 2.5 Flash for faster response for the remainder of this session. Okay, so it seems the issue might stem from conflicting CSS. Okay, so let's went ahead and looked at what perhaps is causing this. And I have removed the conflicting CSS. And now please run the application to verify the fix. Let's go ahead and run again. Okay, so still having issues. All right, so I'm really baffled in a way. And again, because I wanted to show you the full picture of how this tool is behaving right now. Maybe just because I don't know what I don't know. But it seems to me that it's always stopping here. Like whenever I try to run it, it continues saying assessing the application, and it's been a very long time, and it says compiling, and I don't know if I actually compiled the code, because every time I come here and try to run it myself or run it here, it just doesn't do much. So this is something that we probably will need to revisit once I've spent a little more time working and checking this out. So I just wanted to give you an overview, a unscripted in a way overview of how to use this tool and how it feels like using this, okay, without a lot of background. I had no background, just saw this happen and I jumped on to show you exactly. That's one thing I've noticed. Now it's a wonderful tool. As you can see, things are, you have a nice user interface here. It's very much like Claude, and it's free. So you have that free tier, which gives you a lot. And of course, if you want to build more, this probably wouldn't work. Because it would use up all of your context window, right? But for all we've done so far, we've only used about 1 to 2% of the context. So I would like to spend more time with Google Gemini CLI to really do a full comparison. This is just a quick video that I jumped into this to show you about this tool. So more to come, and I hope this helps. Now, one thing you can do also, as they say, you can type something like this /help, as you can see. Hit enter. It should give us all of these basics, add context. So all these basics, for instance, add context, use @ to specify files for context. So if you have files that contain context, for instance, if you're here and you create a file that has, for instance, this README file here with context about this project, you can actually reference that by saying @ and then give it the source, the name of the file. Okay. There's a shell mode for help. We saw the documents or docs is open full Gemini CLI documentation in your browser. Very nice. And there's the clear the screen and conversation history, change the theme, check out the stats to check session stats. And let's see what else we have. A bug, compress, and all of this. Okay, let's start with stats. I'm going to copy that. You can see stats input tokens. This much input tokens cumulative, it's 147,000, and talks about total duration wall through 3 minutes, okay, about an hour, and the total duration API is 1 minute and 42. So turn duration API. So it gives us the stats of what we have used, the tokens that were used, and all of that. So all in all, I am interested in to learn more about this new tool, which is essentially a replica of Claude Code. So Google is trying to have or to build their own tool, such as like Claude Code. That's where I'm going to stop right now. Again, the idea was to just give an overview of this tool and see how it works. It was more of a hands-on. I didn't prepare this at all. I just want to show you how this tool is behaving. Okay, now I made mistakes here. Maybe it's something that I'm missing because I didn't read all the documentation, but it's pretty intuitive, and maybe there are things that I need to look more into. And let me know in the comments if you like this new tool, what do you think of it, if you're going to try it out, and if you want me to go deeper into this tool so we can see what it's capable of doing. Okay, till next time, be well.